Right, so here's my top tips for visiting Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Now, why should you trust a middle-aged man? Well, there's two answers to this. One, because I've been there and I've done that. For numerous years I've been visiting Blackpool Pleasure Beach, back in the day when the big one would run until 10 o'clock at night because they refused to shut the park because it was just so busy. It was a fantastic time. It's needless to say that after being a fan of Blackpool Pleasure Beach for so long, I've picked up a few things that work for me. But the second answer to that question is don't. That's right, don't necessarily take everything I say as fact. Every time you visit the park, every person that goes that likes different things will all have a different experience. Everything is pretty unique to me, but these are just some tips that I've picked up at my time visiting Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which I think can be helpful quite a lot of the times that you visit. Now, my first bit of advice would be as soon as you get into the park, hightail it down to Avalanche. I don't know why, but Avalanche seems to have the slowest throughput of any ride at the park, in my opinion, and when it gets to around midday and it's formed that larger queue onto the outside of the pathways, it can take a good 40 to 45 minutes to actually get in and onto the ride. Even when you're in the building, it can seem like a good 20 to 25 minutes of going on this ride, and therefore if you get on it as soon as you manage to get into the park, you'll usually be on it with around 10 minutes with everyone else flying up to the likes of Icon and the big one. And then if you're trying to maximise your rides in the park, I'd suggest as soon as you come off Avalanche, just walk up the pathway and straight onto Revolution. With it being a shuttle coaster, it's got to go all the way to the end of the track and loop back before people can dismount and the train can be loaded. It doesn't have more than any one train, and therefore during the day at peak times it does tend to get a big queue as well. If you can jump on these two rides first, it's likely within the first 30 to 40 minutes you would have crossed off your first two coasters at the park, whilst everyone else is still waiting for Icon or the big one. Now, tip number 2 is a little hack for getting around using the Pleasure Beach app. Whilst the Pleasure Beach app can be useful for things like ride times and pre-booking Enzo, using the QR codes to scan yourself onto all of the rides can be a huge drain on your battery and quite frankly is a pain in the backside. What you can do is you can take a screen cap of that QR code and save it as your screensaver on the front of your phone, and therefore every time you need to go on a ride you can just pull your phone out of your pocket, click on the side button and you've got the QR code there, saving a significant amount of battery life. What you can also do is you can go to the brand new scan and print ticket system out in guest services. This is brand new for 2025 and you scan your QR code and it will print you out a physical ticket which you can then use to scan yourself on all of the rides, and this will help save all of your battery life for some of those Instagram worthy pictures. And if you like taking pictures, then tip number 3 is for you. Because tip number 3 is to make sure that you get yourself on the Pleasure Beach Express. The Pleasure Beach Express runs through a good portion of the park and takes you a lot of places that you're unable to go to on foot as well. So this offers a load of fantastic opportunities for some really unique perspectives of the park, which are ideal for taking some really good photos of all of the rides that you know and love. It's also nice to just relax in the middle of a nice busy day on that Pleasure Beach Express, just taking in all of your surroundings. The Pleasure Beach Express comes into play again here because tip number 4 is don't forget to use the Pleasure Beach Express if you are a hotel guest. That's right, for the last couple of hours of the day, the Pleasure Beach Express stops at a second entrance just outside both of the Pleasure Beach Resort hotels, and this enables guests to disembark the train and get straight back to the hotels rather than walking to the main entrance and all the way around the edge of the park. It gives you that opportunity to stay in the park that little bit longer, knowing that you've got a shorter time to get back to your hotel at the end of the day. Tip number 5 is more of a preference than a tip. You see, after a long day on park, or even halfway through your day, you've been riding all the rides, you're going to have built up a little bit of an appetite. And there's a lot of really good places at Blackpool Pleasure Beach where you can grab some really good food. But our top tip is to head on over to Loki's, which is situated just by Valhalla. This is by far the best food that you can get on park, and they benefit from what I would deem as a less is more attitude. They only have around 6 items and a number of sides on their menu, meaning that they have perfected the cooking technique for the food that they have. You can essentially just get half or full roast chickens, ribs and a camembert loaf, and that is about it. But they've absolutely perfected this food, and it's some of the best food I've tasted in a UK theme park anywhere. It is brilliant. There's nothing more that I like doing on a hot summer's day than sitting outside of Loki's with a cold pint of Corona and a half rack of ribs and just listening to the people behind you on Valhalla screaming as they get soaked. Very soon you're going to be able to watch people being shot up into the sky on Launchpad, and for those people that love that little bit of nostalgia, just sat under that Loki's facade where you can see where it used to be the old Skyride building. It's just a fantastic place to be, and it's a perfect location to grab a bite at the end of the day before you make your way to the exit and finish up your day. Now, this next tip is one that always crops up, and that is because it's one that always works. If you want to maximise your ride time, then you'll need to use other people's habits against them. And you'll find that the general public tend to go for their lunch always at 12 o'clock on the dot through till around 1 o'clock. And the rides typically will become a lot quieter during these times. So if you go for your lunch a little bit earlier or a little bit later, you can utilise that hour period where most people are eating their lunch to jump on some of the bigger rides such as Icon and the big one. And in the same vein of using people's habits against them, you tend to find that the last hour of a park is incredibly quiet because people tend to try and get back to the cars and get on the roads to avoid that last minute rush, and therefore I found, especially this year, the last hour of the park is incredibly quiet and you can knock out twice as much rides in that 1 hour as you could at other times of the day. So make sure that you stay in until the very end of the day so you can get on as many rides as possible. And the final tip would be to create your own opening hours. This one might sound odd, but hear me out. See, when the park closes at 4 o'clock, they don't close all of the rides down and remove everyone from the park at exactly that time. That is just the time that they stop accepting new people into the queues. So the final 5 minutes of the day, if you head on over to your favourite ride and jump in that queue, then even though it'll tick over closing time, because you're already in the queue, you will get to stay and ride that ride after the park has officially closed, and thereby extending your opening hours. And as a final tip of the day, subscribe to the channel. We put out plenty of vlogs, news and reviews from the world of theme parks, attractions and anything to do with nerd culture. We'll be heading on down to Alton Towers and Drayton Manor in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be heading over to Europe to the likes of Toverland and Efteling in just a couple of months, and that's on top of our normal UK theme park season and scare events, Comic Cons and a whole manner of things here on the channel. So if you love that theme park and attractions and nerd life, by all means subscribe to the channel for more, because it really does help us out as well, and it does cost you nothing. And if you did like this video, then please, I'd urge you, give a smash on that like button, because that really does help us out. It tells YouTube that the video is good, if it actually is, and it will help it get a further reach and allows us to keep doing what we do. But anyway, that is it for our top tips from Blackpool Pleasure Beach for the 2025 season. With that being said, we're going to catch you on the next one. Catch you later.